Say live. Welcome to Seller Sessions. I am your host today. It is Sharon Evan, and I have here Gracie Ryback, who is an amazing TikTok and other places influencer. She's got over 500,000 followers on TikTok. Gracie, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity.
Oh my gosh, please do not feel that way. I'm just your average girl who accidentally has over 500,000 followers.
That's so cool. It's so awesome that I'm waiting to hear a story. Now, the reason that we've got you on today is because you have built a business by promoting brands through your TikTok, and as well as that, you also promote it in other places, but you also are an Amazon live stream influencer too.
Yes.
Which is like very, very new to many, many people.
Yes.
So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of questions here.
Definitely. I'm excited to talk about it. Well, first of all, Sharon, thank you for having me on Seller Sessions. I'm so excited. We're about to really go in depth on the potential of influencer marketing for Amazon sellers. And from the conversations that I've been having so far, it is so new. I think we're kind of a little bit pioneering this together, I think.
I think that from my experience, I mean, I've worked with a lot of influencers myself, but I think that the opportunity today, I don't think there's enough people working with influencers.
I agree.
And I think that hardly anyone knows about Amazon Live.
Yes, I agree
as
with that
well.
Too.
So, but before we get into it, do you want to do a little bit of an intro on yourself and how it works? Because you do things in a very unique way rather than other influencers as well. So go for it.
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
My name is Gracie, and basically, I started a TikTok account late in 2020, and I started the account just because I personally was an Amazon shopper. I bought everything off Amazon, so I would kind of spend a lot of time finding these coupon codes and promo codes to save money on the things that I would buy every day, and I decided to start a TikTok account like to just share the codes that I was finding each day. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a couple of followers out of it, maybe a couple hundred, and then people will save money and it'll all be good. And then very soon after I started the account, it kind of blew up. It got a lot more recognition than I ever thought it would. And it turned into an amazing opportunity to build an amazing community of people just like me who like saving money on Amazon. And in turn, I realized I was also able to help Amazon sellers as well by talking about their products, promoting them and bringing a huge amount of sales to them as well as sharing the deals with the consumers. So it's a win-win on both sides. And looking back, I'm so happy I did it.
Yeah, it's amazing because you've built this in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, so I started probably October, November 2020. And now it's just the beginning of March. So yes, this all happened in a whirlwind of 4-ish months. So yes, you're right.
So in 4 months, how much revenue have you built altogether for people that you've sent them sent people their way? Yeah.
So within these 4 months, the amount of revenue that I have driven over to Amazon has been over $1 million of revenue. And we crossed that threshold, I believe, a week or two ago, which was kind of a big milestone, I think, in my account. I was like, wow.
Can you explain to the viewers watching us here and people listening to us how you know that you've driven over $1 million?
So when I talk about products on my TikTok, I usually refer them to my Amazon influencer storefront, which I have as an Amazon associate. And within my Amazon associates account, I can basically track the amount of clicks and purchases and revenue driven to Amazon. And that's how I know that that was driven. But I also want to point out that there is a population of people on the internet who just would rather organically search up the item on Amazon themselves. Thus, something that I wouldn't be able to track. So I do believe somewhere out there in the world of things that I can't track, there are a lot more purchases with a lot more revenue. All I have is the data in my account to see. Yeah.
That is just super, super cool. So that's the TikTok side of it.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the Amazon Live side of it? And just before you do, let me give a little bit of context for people who maybe don't know about Amazon Live yet. So Amazon Live, there's two sides of it, which I have learned recently because I only knew on the brand side of it. There's one side where people who are brand registered can go live on Amazon, and it will show up on the Amazon Live tab on Amazon, and also on the product itself, where it can either be an influencer that is representing your product, or it can actually be you showing your product, however you decide. On top of that, there is another side of it where there's people like you who have, I think they're called channels on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Amazon Live. And you're basically talking about products and promoting products. And you have your own Amazon Live channel, right?
Correct.
Cool.
Yes.
So can you tell us about that as well, how that works? And then we'll move on to, we've already got questions here, and then I'll ask questions too.
Yeah, definitely. So Amazon Live is an opportunity that I heard about recently within the past month. I started live streaming in February, and this is such a huge thing. And I only feel like it'll get much bigger than we could ever imagine from here on out. But basically, Amazon Live is their take on live streaming, kind of similar to QVC, kind of similar to HSN, basically your live selling channel. And I think this is an amazing opportunity, not only for just brands, not only for just influencers, but both. There are 3 tiers of Amazon live streamers, and I can kind of get into the details of that if you want.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So when a influencer signs up for Amazon Live, there are 3 tiers of levels. So everybody starts out as a rising star, meaning when you go live, the only people who would probably see your live streams would probably be your followers on Amazon Live. And then after you hit a certain amount of hours streamed, then you can apply for insider level, which is the mid-tier level, which means that you will have placement on the Amazon Live homepage, not the Amazon homepage, but the Amazon Live page. And your lives will be featured there, as well as the product listing pages of the first 10 products that you are talking about in your live stream, which is huge opportunity for somebody who might already be shopping on that page, and they'll be able to see your live stream live and be able to interact, ask you questions, see the product in action. And then the real top level is A-list level, which basically means you have the ability to have your live streams shown on the Amazon.com homepage, which imagine the amount of traffic happening there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is an opportunity for brands to have visibility on the homepage, as well as influencers to kind of promote their own channel and social media on the homepage. So those are the levels of Amazon live streaming. And I also do know that brands have the ability to live stream as well as influencers, like you just mentioned. So yeah, that's kind of the little rundown of how Amazon Live is.
So many questions are going through my brain, but give me a second to also, there's some people here. So we'll just say, Sadim says, love to see you, Sharon. Thank you. Love to see you too. Paul Harvey says, do you ever run ads to your posts? I think that's to you, Gracie.
Okay, yeah. I have never run a paid ad to my channel, to my posts. No, I thought about it at one point, and like as an extra way to help sellers to like run paid ads to like maybe their sponsored post. but I never have, and I don't think I will, just because the organic reach is the potential there is
Huge.
so high already. I don't really feel the need to do so. I also feel like on Amazon's end of things, they might have some problem with running paid search keywords to like affiliate posts or something like that. So I try not to make Amazon mad in any way. And I think running ads might.
Amazon does love outside external traffic.
Right.
So I don't think there would be a problem with that, but I'm not as familiar with Amazon Associates, so I prefer not to comment on something that I don't 100% know. But I do know that Amazon absolutely loves external traffic.
Yes, that is true.
But I also know that you have about 500,000 people on TikTok following you, and you have
sorry, go ahead.
No, you also have a Facebook group full of people that, and you've also got like 12,000 people on Instagram that follow you, and you've got very high engagement. So I can see why you don't really need, at this point anyway.
Yeah, it's something I haven't done before. And it's something I'm open to if that is like, compliant with all of Amazon's million rules. And I would be definitely open to it in the future. I just haven't done so yet. So none of the traffic to any of my accounts has been paid thus far.
Which is a great accomplishment for you, because you've done so much in such a small amount of time. So that's just amazing.
You're right. And I do have to I do want to mention that on TikTok, especially, the amount of traffic that you get isn't limited to the amount of followers that you have. So every time I post a new video, it's not strictly to my followers. It basically is to the audience of TikTok, wherever it may go. So that is almost like having like a paid, I mean, the potential is similar.
How much, like, let's just say if you put up a video now about a product on TikTok, how much, like, what's the most amount of views you've had on a video on TikTok? So
the probably biggest amount of views I have on a video is probably over 2 million. And that was a video of, this is like another product that kind of had some fame on TikTok for an amount of time, probably like a year ago at this point. But it was like window cling vinyl, and it had like patterns on it. So when the sun showed through it, it was like rainbows. And people
I know that product.
Yeah. And people would put them on their like sunroof. And I made a video about it, and it blew up.
I may have even seen it and not knowing that it's you, because I saw some of those.
Maybe,
those videos.
Yeah. I'll send it to you after.
Yeah. Near Rivers, a big seller and a good friend of mine, says such an important topic we all need to learn. Panette is here. Hey, Sharon and Gracie, really looking forward to this session. Dominique is here. How do you make an influencer storefront in Amazon? It's a great question, Gracie.
Good question. Yes. So to sign up for an influencer storefront, you first have to be a part of the Amazon Associates program, which is kind of like their affiliate program. So to be a member, there are some requirements. They don't want just like anybody representing Amazon as an associate. So I do believe that you have to have some kind of substantial following and engagement on your social media already. And I believe they have 4 or 5 different approved platforms. So that would be YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and sometimes Pinterest, but not really Pinterest. So on those, one of those 4 platforms, you have to have like either a big Facebook group or like a substantial following on an Instagram account to sign up. And then once you do, you're able to then apply for the influencer branch of the associates program, and then you are able to kind of get your own storefront where you can add your own products that you recommend and all of that.
Cool, that's awesome. Let me just see if there's anything else here. We've got Michelle Venton saying hello. Okay, everyone's excited. Hello to everyone. I can see you all writing. There's a lot of comments here, so hey to everyone. So I've got so many questions that let me just start with a few. So you specifically, the way that because I'd love to hear the difference between how you run your TikTok and then how you run your Amazon Live, because it's a little bit different, right? So you specifically, your TikTok is you have people that reach out to you.
Yes.
Oh.
So my TikTok is, there are a lot of posts on my TikTok that are not at all sponsored or working directly with brands. So a lot of the deals that I post are just deals that are either really highly requested on my account by like my followers already, or just deals that I find are good deals and I want to share them. And then there's probably just a few sprinkled in there that are actually working directly with brands, with partnerships. So that is kind of how my TikTok is run. And basically the niche there is deals. I like talking about any kinds of products as long as they have like some kind of promo code or discount going on. My Amazon Live, however, that is where I kind of put more of my own personality into it. I like talking about products I use, like makeup, lifestyle, fashion. I'm more open to different niches there. And there I can also talk about deals, but since Amazon live streams are, I mean, they have the potential to, you know, have an entire live stream that's sponsored. So if there was a brand out there, let's just say like, oh, like a fashion brand, for example, and they were like, I want an influencer to have an hour-long sponsored live stream where they just talk and gush about nothing but my products, that can happen as well. And that could have nothing to do with deals at all. And that would just be, you know, an hour basically kind of advertisement commercial of their products. Yeah. And I think that's just another way to get like huge traffic to their store.
So does an Amazon Live from an influencer, does it have to be an hour? Because everyone says you're not the only influencer I've heard speak about it as an hour. Does it have to be an hour? Can it be longer? Can it be shorter? Like, how does that work? So Amazon's basically guideline is like try to stream for at least 45 minutes. There's really no like requirement, but they're like try to go at least 45 minutes to an hour per live stream. That's their guideline. And but no, there is no limit to how long or how often you can live stream. I have seen a brand have a live stream, and I don't know if this is good or allowed, but I saw a brand just basically having a camera pointed at their product for 8 hours straight and call it a
live stream. So I don't know if that's good or not, but I have seen it happen.
Okay, that's really interesting. So let's just say that there is someone out there right now. Let's just say I have my brand and I have a couple of products, and I would like to get onto your live stream, right? Onto Amazon. First of all, there's a few different questions on the subject. Number one, I said that I was going to have you on, and I asked a few people what kind of questions they'd like to ask. And there were like 20 people that asked the same question: is how should brands or newer sellers contact influencers? Now, you and I met on Clubhouse, and we were in a Clubhouse room where it wasn't just you. There were about 7 other influencers as well. And I asked there, how many of you read your DMs? Right now, half of you said that you read your DMs and half said that they don't. So what is the best way for a brand to contact you or an influencer, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I would definitely, if I were a brand trying to reach out to influencers, I would probably first go to social media. I would go to TikTok. I would go to Instagram. I would even go to potentially Facebook, and I would search out hashtags, and I would be like Amazon finds. These are popular Amazon hashtags, like Amazon finds, founded on Amazon, Amazon deals, just like Amazon find, or like whatever hashtags. And once you go there, you will see a list of the big viral video, big accounts of influencers talking about Amazon products. And that is an amazing way to get in touch with them. Clubhouse is, you kind of have to be in the right rooms, in the right kind have the right connections to know where to go on Clubhouse, but Clubhouse is how we met. It's an amazing way to kind of connect brands and influencers. And I would also say, if you happen upon an influencer's Instagram or TikTok and you're trying to get in touch with them, you're really trying to get in touch with them, I would try to email them as well as DM, potentially send that email and then send them a DM and be like, hey, I just shot you an email. This is the email I sent it from. Please check it when you can. And I think that double-sided approach, it's like they're going to hopefully look at either their email or their DM and see your message. And I also do want to highlight, I know that all of these influencers, they're not reading their DMs for a reason. They have, especially if they're on Clubhouse and they have big social media accounts going on, they are getting a ton of DMs. My DMs are constantly flooded with like requests from like, can you find this code? Can you find a deal on this product for me? So it's like a mixture of like people who are trying to reach me and then like people just asking for requests. And so I think that is kind of the detriment of maybe why you're not getting the answers from the DM. So I think that double approach of email and DM is a good way to reach them.
I don't have 500,000 followers, but I can relate because I also have a YouTube channel and I also, am an influencer. I'm doing quote unquote in our industry. And I also get bombarded with a whole bunch of DMs, and it's sometimes you miss someone you didn't mean to. So I think something good, and as a brand owner who's worked with influencers, I don't push too much, but if I've sent an influencer a message via Instagram and let's just say they haven't responded within a week, I'll just send another one and say, hey, just checking up on you, on my last message. I understand that you're busy. And then if they don't answer at some point, I'll move, on.
I want to highlight the importance of following up. Like, don't get offended if they don't reply within the amount of time you think is appropriate. They probably are overwhelmed. And it doesn't hurt to send a follow-up. Like, hey, did you get this? Hey, have you seen this? Like, just let me know. Like, I'm interested in working with you. That is sometimes like it takes, I'm not saying like I'm bad at responding to emails, but that follow-up is sometimes like that needed.
I totally get you. Okay, I'm gonna ask the question that after you answered this in the Clubhouse room, some of the other influencers went crazy. So let me just explain. As we were in a Clubhouse room, you, myself, we were mostly sellers and a few influencers. And that room got a little bit, not ugly, but at some point I had to intervene and sort of take over the room because it was very much suddenly sellers versus influencers. By mistake, we didn't want it to become that way, but it did. And from a seller's point of view and from a brand owner's point of view, we want two things. Number one, to make sure that the influencer that we're about to work with is going to actually get us either brand awareness, whatever our purpose is, either brand awareness, sales, whatever it may be. And number two, we want to be able to understand how much it's going to cost. So I asked you in the Clubhouse room, what is the typical structures of fees? And then you very, in a very, not naive, but in a lovely way answered me. And then some other influencers who have, also, they were like, oh, you can't give prices. But this is the most asked question, which is, how does the fee structure work? So you can answer specifically for yourself and give us a general, I understand that it depends on the niche, it depends on the brand, it depends on many things. But how does it typically work when a brand comes to you and says, let's do two different scenarios. Number one, for TikTok, we'd love for you to promote our products on TikTok. And then number two, the totally different side of it, which is Amazon Live. So starting off with TikTok, how does that usually work?
Okay, so good question. And I just want to clarify, the other night in the room, I just wanted to kind of throw out some vague numbers. And I totally know that this is a debate that can go on forever, because at the end of the day, every influencer has a different situation and every Amazon seller has a different situation. So there will be no industry standard of pricing or numbers to have. All I can give is just very vague ranges of numbers, and don't be offended if your prices are lower. Don't be offended if your prices are higher, because everybody has a different reach, different niche, different situation, different engagement, whatever. So I can only talk about myself personally, and I will give as much insight as I can. Just don't apply this to the industry, or don't assume everybody is the same. And okay, so I have explored basically a one-time posting fee, meaning like you give me this amount of money, I make the content, I post it, and it's not really dependent on the amount of sales or views that happens. Then I've kind of realized with TikTok, the amount of the results of what you're going to get out of that partnership could range like crazy ranges. Like it could get 10,000 views or 2 million views. And you really don't know until after it's out there, after it's posted. So what I've been exploring is a payment plan situation of like an initial payment that might be kind of more reasonable, and then a CPM payment of like, you can pay a certain amount per 1,000 views that happens after it's posted. So you could go from like $2 per 1,000 views up to $10 per 1,000 views. It could be however much per 1,000 views. And then you could have like maybe a couple hundred or whatever ranges of the initial posting fee. And then I would say you could either base it off of views, or you could do a commission-based structure where you can, the seller you guys can agree on a certain percentage of commission that you get from the sales. The only thing that I did mention in this about like a commission structure based on sales is that currently as influencers, we are not really able to track the specific data of how many sales that we produced. So that is just based on like the lack of tracking that we currently have. So basically, we would be dependent on the sellers letting us know how many sales they got on their end, which if you have a long-term partnership is great, and you have that trust going on to like, be upfront about how many sales came from it, then great. But if you don't have that trust built up, it might be kind of like worrisome for the influencer to be like, what if nobody really knows? I don't personally know the exact amount of sales that I created or generated. So there's that. I've been, open to hearing how sellers would. I've asked a couple of sellers. I'm like, if you had the perfect partnership of what you think would make the most sense, let me know what that is. And we've had some back and forth. I'm obviously open to, working with sellers however they feel fit. But I think right now, there is no right answer. Every influencer is different. Some might have, super high value production and, low engagement, and they want to charge a huge price because for whatever reason. And then there are some more reasonable influencers who are like, I'm here to help you and try to make this mutually as beneficial as possible. And I feel like that's kind of where I lie.
Yeah. Now, on a TikTok level, how do you sign contracts with the sellers, with the brand owners on then who owns that content? Can they repurpose that content? Can they put that then on their website or on their Instagram or whatever it may be? Are they allowed to use that content later on your TikTok side of things?
Yeah, so I would say if somebody, it depends on the deal itself. Like if there is a seller who's just like, just post my product, post this deal, it's really casual, one-time thing, I probably wouldn't involve a contract. If anything, I might send an invoice if necessary, if it's requested. But I have been learning that sometimes it is safer to have contracts, especially when not all of the payment is upfront, and maybe it'll come 30 days after the post or whatever that may be. But when you're talking about the copyright and the basically ownership of the content, that is where I would probably involve a contract, because basically you are handing over your rights to your own content for the free use of whatever they want to do with it. So basically you're saying, I waive all control over my content, here it is. And of course, it would only make sense to maybe charge a little extra for that and to compensate for like, okay, like here is my content I created for you, do whatever you want with it. So I would definitely say to be on the safe side, try to make a contract if you're involving like content, copyright, all of that, just to make things clear on both sides and avoid any possible miscommunication in the future if the content isn't used the way you like or something. Like there's so many things that could go wrong when you don't have like that written agreement of what's going to happen in the future to your content.
So that's on the TikTok side of things for you. And then on an Amazon Livestream side of things. So there's two different ways from what I understood that most influencers on Amazon work. One is either it's a full hour where they're talking about one specific brand. It could be one product or a range of products from this one brand.
Yes.
Or it could be that you're doing a live, and during that live, you'll have 10 minutes about a few different types of products.
Yes.
Right? So for that specifically, I remember that we asked a few sellers, we asked this question in the Clubhouse room, which was for Amazon influencers and Amazon sellers. And I asked, well, how does the payment structure work for that? And I can see questions coming in right now also about that. And also what I told people I was going to ask, everyone wants to know how the payment structure sort of works. And before you answer, let me give some feedback from what was going on in that room. So there was a lot of, it was very much, I'm trying to think of how to put it in the best way possible. There were influencers in the room that had over 100,000, followers on Instagram, which is a lot harder to have than on TikTok, right? To build. And there were people there that were running that stream live on YouTube, and that stream on Amazon, on YouTube, on Facebook, and to all their communities. And then they were like, well, we charge a lot more. Like they were like, we're going to charge you in the thousands, right? And then there were a few smaller influencers. There was a few other girls in there that had, I think, like 30,000, 40,000 followers on Instagram. And they were more in the hundreds. It was more like in the hundreds range. And that's why we stopped asking those questions in those rooms, because it was so all over the place. And I know that it's sort of the questions that we're getting now. So what I learned from being in that room was that it really, really depends on the influencer that you want to work with. And it really, really depends on the brand as well, and on budget as well. So when a brand, so you don't have to put out numbers. You can if you want to give general numbers. But when a brand now comes to you and they're like, hey, and also, do you mostly do it that way? Do you pick up products yourself? But a brand comes to you and says, hey, we'd love for you to, we have 7 different products and we'd like for you to spend a full hour on our products. Obviously, the payment is going to be a lot more than if it was just a 10-minute segment within that hour, right?
Correct.
So for someone at your level, again, ballpark, not an exact pricing dependent. What are the price ranges that people can sort of expect to pay for example, 10-minute segment or an hour segment if it's a whole? Like, what's the ballpark pricing? And again, it's ballpark pricing because it's not going to be the same. And also, you guys as influencers are learning how to do this because it's so new, right? So yeah. I just wanted to give context before you answered, just in case people were like, what, this, that. Yeah, go for it.
No, that was good. That was good. You gave context. So I would definitely say, so we're talking about specifically Amazon Live, right? I would say when you are an influencer expecting to charge thousands, like I'm saying like above $1,000, you have to understand that we are Amazon influencers, or at least I am. Like I'm not talking to huge companies like Coca-Cola and Delta. Like I'm not talking to billion-dollar companies. I'm talking to Amazon sellers, people like you, people like us. I have to realize that like the scope of Amazon sellers, there could be somebody launching their first product next week, or there could be somebody making 6 figures a month already. And there is everywhere in between. So when I limit if I were to charge over $1,000 for something, I would have to understand I'm limiting myself to probably like the biggest brands on Amazon that can afford that kind of marketing budget. I just don't want to close myself off to that. I can't speak for other influencers, and they have the numbers to justify their prices. Every time as a seller, if you talk to an influencer, you should always ask for a media kit. You should always ask for their account statistics, and they should happily provide that for you. They should be able to prove their conversion rate, their engagement rate, the amount of followers they have, like the amount of revenue that they've driven that they can track. They should be able to provide that for you to justify any price they give you. And as a seller, you can decide if that's reasonable, and there's always room for negotiation. That's the thing. Like, this isn't like it's this amount and that's it. Like, you negotiate, and you at least I can work with the brand to see what they're able to afford with their budget, and if that is something that I'm willing to do for them based on so many factors. Like, do I see myself partnering long-term with this brand? Is this a product that I really like and use and stand behind? Or is this kind of a product I could care less about, but this is just a promo? Like, there's so many things to think about. But when you are looking at an Amazon Live from the perspective of like, oh, like I'm just going to talk about your product for 5-10 minutes, as opposed to an entire sponsored live stream, the difference there could be like a feature could be a couple $100, or a full live stream could, go up to 1,000 or more potentially. Again, these are very vague ranges of numbers, and I can't speak for anyone or apply this to any kind of industry standard. But it depends on the reach of the influencer, how much engagement and audience they're reaching, how much revenue they've driven already, and also. Something that I like to do is I like giving sellers the option of a kind of like a trial or test run, in a sense. Like, I'm not sure your product would do well with my audience, but I will charge you a cheaper rate for the first promotion. See what happens. See if you like the results. And if you do, let's partner up long term and do it again. And maybe I'll charge the full rate, but I'm not going to charge you something crazy and then it flops and we both regret working with each other,
I also remember that in the room that we were speaking, there were also influencers that had signed with brands for like a year. And then they also had a situation where they weren't allowed to promote products that were conflicting with that brand, which, on a brand side of things is a dream for us. And on an influencer side of things, it's, in my opinion, unless you're being, paid thousands, it's a very stupid thing to do. Yes. But I remember in that room, there was a woman, I won't mention her name. There was a woman who had signed with the brand, and then she couldn't promote any other products within that specific niche. So on a contract level or on things like that, if someone comes to you, let's just say if I've come to you and I've got a very specific beauty product, right? And I don't want you on that 1 hour live when you've got like 10 products, 20 products, whatever, I don't know how many you have, and I don't want you to then have a competitor of mine in that same hour, or someone, how do you work with those situations? Because that's a tricky situation as well.
If you are an Amazon seller or brand and you are like very like persistent on like, I do not want the same person talking about my product and also talking about another brand in that, then I would urge them to like invest in a paid live stream, a sponsored live stream in its entirety. So that, and I also want to mention that when me as an influencer, if a brand is like, okay, I want you to do a live stream for me for an hour, I would be much happier and more willing to basically say like, okay, like I will give you this live stream and the rights to it to use for marketing. So you can like chop it up in little pieces and like put them on your product listing pages or your social media, because that content isn't doing much for me, but it's doing a lot for them. So I would be more open to doing that. Otherwise, if you are really like persistent about like you can't talk about other things, then yeah, I would go about like paying a little more and making sure that your brand is the only one being talked about. To address the thing about influencers getting into contracts that kind of bite them in the butt, that is why I'm sitting here talking about this topic today, because I see so many influencers getting taken advantage of, and I'm sure it's not being done on purpose, but it is simply because of the lack of communication and transparency in this area where we are right now. None of the influencers want to talk about any kind of details. Nobody wants to share anything about their experience. Thus, we are all kind of bumbling around trying to figure it out. When we are trying to figure it out, we will get into contracts that we realize like, ooh, I should not have signed that. And then it's too late. And then whoever that is stuck for a year. Or like people are getting much way underpaid because they do not know what other people are getting paid. And so the less communication we have about things, the more people are going to get screwed over. And that is why I want to bring more transparency and communication between influencers, between brands, and together to bridge that gap, so nobody's getting taken advantage of, so that everybody is kind of has an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really important for everyone to remember is this. And I'm a brand owner, right? So I care about the influencers a lot, but you know, I'm going to be thinking about my brand at first until we build that sort of relationship. And I think that's something that's really important to remember also for the brand owners is there's a difference between the TikTok and the Amazon stuff, but the Amazon Live, but it's more than just how many sales you have coming through that exact minute. They could have watched you during that hour and then ended up buying the product a week later. It also gives you a whole bunch of brand awareness that maybe we would have not had otherwise. And I think that brands also need to remember that. On the other hand, I think that also influencers need to remember that, like you said, and you said it perfectly, there are different people that are going to come in at different levels. And, you know, I can tell you that there are some people that were in that room that would never speak to some of the influencers in there just because of, you know, the way that it was spoken, and they were really, really exaggerating. And I think that there's a big difference between being an Amazon influencer and being on TikTok and being on Instagram and etc. Because you're working with everyone. When you're on TikTok, you're working with everyone. When you're streaming something on Amazon, you're working with Amazon products and Amazon sellers. And then you got to remember that it's like a whole different story. You know.
It is.
Now, one question I did want to ask is, as a seller, and also, you know, as someone who works with a lot of sellers as a coach, I always talk about buyer avatars, you know, knowing who your buyer avatar is when you're selling products. As an influencer, like when I choose influencers that I'm going to work with, I'm first of all looking at their niche. If I sell, you know, a product for mothers, like postpartum products after they give birth, I'm probably not going to work with like a 21-year-old who's not given birth yet, because it's not her followers. But if I've got a beauty product that, you know, I want to work with an influencer, then my point is I focus on your following, right? How does that work when it comes to Amazon live streaming? Because is your following specifically just the people that, like, first of all, how do they find you? Second of all, and then also, the people watching you, like, is there a specific niche that they're focused on? Because I've gone through, there's all sorts of different, like there's Sway TV and all these different streamers on Instagram, on Amazon. Sorry, I'm not used to saying Amazon Live, on Amazon Live. And they'll be in 1 hour, they would have talked about like 30 different products or 20 different products, from beauty all the way to furniture, all the way to, and I'm like, who the hell sits there for a full hour looking at all these products? How does that work? Like, do you guys have a specific buyer avatar that you're focusing on? How does that work on your level?
So I think that I have a pretty good idea of who my audience is because I have those analytics from my TikTok. But I currently do not have any kind of statistics or data about the followers that I have on Amazon Live. I can only assume that they came from my TikTok and they are probably roughly the same population of people. So if I wasn't talking about my TikTok follower avatar, and I was just talking about the people who were stumbling upon my Amazon Live, I would probably assume that they only clicked on my live out of the other lives because they were looking at the product I was talking about, or they were on the Amazon Live page and they saw my thumbnail and they liked it. So they're probably interested in that topic, or they're probably just clicking around, because that's kind of what I do and other people do on Amazon Live pages to kind of see what's going on. So if you have, I don't know, there is no like data that Amazon provides with like who your followers are. But if you have social media, I could only just say, like, for now, we have to just guess and assume that your follower avatar on Amazon Live probably resembles your social media. So I would probably lean more towards like your Instagram analytics and TikTok or whatever other social media data you have to kind of see who your audience is. Like, I know mine is more women than it is men, probably more younger people than it is older people because it's on TikTok. When I'm thinking about like Amazon Live viewers, you're probably looking at a different audience of like, okay, these probably aren't people on TikTok. They're probably buyers on Amazon, which probably is an older demographic, people who have their own money, people who aren't like small kids or like minors or something. Like, it is a different group of people. And the thing that's good about Amazon Live is, I've heard this analogy somewhere. It's like when you are promoting something on TikTok, it's kind of like you're watching a commercial on TV while you're on your couch. When you are watching an Amazon Live, you are actively in the mall and you're looking to buy something and you're just looking for that product recommendation or new ideas. So you are basically streaming to a group of people that are, you know, willing to buy and actively looking to buy. So they're already primed to do that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I feel like there's so many unknowns from this conversation and from the conversation we had in the Clubhouse room, because while you were speaking, I remember that somebody asked a similar question to this. And I remember one of the influencers there said that while she was streaming her Amazon Live, people were asking her if she could rate some games, like, you know, like Xbox games or something like that. And she was like, I don't even necessarily, I'm not a gamer, but because they wanted that, then I went and learned about the game and went and did that. And it kind of confused me about the situation, because I was thinking, if you're not a gamer, and let's just say you focus on, I'm making it up now, beauty, then why the hell would you go and talk about, you know, the games if that's not the people that are following you? And I just feel like currently there's a little bit of the unknown on the Amazon Live side of it. Because like you said, you guys aren't necessarily, you're not given the analytics or the information or whatever it may be. Like, do you know how many people follow you on an Amazon Live channel?
What was that? Can you repeat the question? It cut off a little bit.
Do you know how many people follow you on an Amazon Live channel? Like, do you know how many followers you have or subscribers, however it works?
Yeah. So I know my followers, but I also know, that follower account isn't public. So that's another thing that is kind of an unknown right now. What is considered a good following on Amazon Live? What is considered a kind of mediocre following on Amazon Live. So yes, I personally know how many followers I have on Amazon Live. And I do want to say, like, Amazon Live followers are valuable because they get notified every time that you go live. So you can kind of count on them being notified and aware that you are going live whenever you do. So of course, the more, the better. But it is kind of weird because you mentioned the person in the clubhouse room. What was that again? It kind of cut out.
About the fact that she was saying that in the chat, because you guys have a chat and the people watching you are actually asking you questions, and you guys are actively answering them. Like, it's just like now we're on live right now. We've got people asking questions and we're answering, and it's exactly the same on an Amazon Live. And she was saying that people were asking her if she could review a specific game. And she said that we as sellers need to understand that a lot of the times they don't know anything about the product. So they have to spend time to go and learn about it in order to talk about it. And that's why they charge more and blah, blah, blah. And she was saying specifically about this, that she went and learned about the game because that is what the people were asking for. And I remember that I was thinking to myself as a seller, if she's not a gamer, then why are people asking, her to review a game, because it doesn't work the same on a buyer avatar level. But I guess that what you said is also, it could just be people randomly, scrolling through on an Amazon Live, looking at different things as well. Gracie, can you hear me?
I imagine the situation that you just mentioned would be like, oh, somebody who, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, continue, go for it.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. So I would imagine in a situation that you just mentioned, like somebody who's into gaming just happened to, somebody who's into gaming probably just happened upon their Amazon Live and they liked the person that they were seeing, but maybe weren't necessarily interested in the products that they were talking about. So they were like, well, I like you as a person. Can you talk about gaming, which is something I'm interested in? So I definitely think Amazon Live is open to a bigger, I have gone from talking about beauty to home products to tech deals and a couple different places in between. I'll probably talk about fashion in the future. Like, I just think that each live can be, customized to its own thing and not necessarily have within a niche of like, oh, I only talk about this, I only talk about that. So I think there's a lot of freedom to kind of customize Amazon Lives and talk about more areas than you probably are used to.
We have a really good question here from Panette, and it says, in your experience, if a brand owner's products are complementary, would you focus on a few products at once or just one product at a time for a one-time paid live stream?
For a one-time paid live stream, I would probably focus on a variety of products. I would probably say like your most popular product and all the products that would probably complement that one product. I would say if you are trying to do a sponsored live stream, I would fit at least 10 products in there if you have that available, because the first 10 products you talk about on your live stream, it's also displayed on those product pages on Amazon. So you're going to have that person talking about it live to get more attention to your listing page. So I would say with every live, try to talk about at least 10 products minimum. And I would just try to fit in more products if you can, if you have paid for like an entire sponsored live.
Yeah. And then you specifically with moving from live for a second to TikTok, because it's another great thing. But with your TikTok, you specifically, again, every TikTok influencer is different. You specifically focus on deals and on promos. Do you, let's just say I come to you and I say, hey, Gracie, I'd like for you to promote, this product. Do you put that just on your TikTok? Because you specifically also have a Facebook group of people. And then on top of that, you have Instagram. Do you cross channels? Like, do you also put it on your other channels, or do you focus just on that? And does that involve more cost? How does that work with you?
Yeah, so when I have a product, I usually always post it on my TikTok because that's where I have the most audience and traffic. And then if sellers are like, oh, can you also post this on your Facebook group, which I believe I have like close to 3,000 follower or members, and then on my Instagram, where I have like a little over 11,000 followers, I kind of use those as extensions of my TikTok audience. And yes, if they wanted to have their product placed on my Instagram or my Facebook page, that might be a little extra. But the promos that I usually focus on and that have the best results are from my TikTok.
So let's just say now I want to be able to track how many sales I get from you through that payment, right? Because that's what many people are obviously mostly interested in. So we spoke about this, the fact that you guys don't have access as influencers, you don't have access to, the information that we have as sellers. But when you say promos, then I could make a specific code for you, and then you would then use that code and tell everyone, I don't know, for this specific product, you have $10 off just today, and this is the code. Is that how that would work with you, for example? And then they would go and obviously use your code, and then I can track how many sales came specifically from you, and I can download, and send it to you, and if we have the trust thing going on. But is that how that would sort of work on a promo side of things?
So specifically with me, because I like talking about deals and coupon codes, there is an extra tracking factor of if you were to make a specific coupon code for me, then that would be a way for the seller to track how many sales came specifically from me and my promotions. But if this were a regular promo without involving coupon codes, then I would say the influencer is heavily dependent on the seller to provide the sale data of the sales that came from the promo, because we just sadly don't have that on our end. We're not able to track all of them. We only have like generic, big picture numbers instead of very specific data. So we are pretty heavily reliant on the seller to kind of be transparent and let us know the results of the promo. And hopefully tracking is going to get better in the future for the associate side.
And then what would you recommend because you have your Amazon associates side of things, so you get affiliation from Amazon as well. Where do you see most of, the best results coming from right now at this stage? Is it from TikTok or is it from your Amazon, live? What platform have you found is where you make, because if you're making more money, it means that the sellers are making more money, so where do you see that coming from mostly right now as we speak? Is it mostly like TikTok or Amazon live? Because on TikTok, it sits there for a while, doesn't it?
Right now, yes. And so when I posted TikTok, that is basically living on TikTok, being shown to more people each and every day for up to 90 days, up to 3 months. You can still get eyes on that video. With Amazon Live, I've tried to do research and ask other people doing Amazon Live. I'm said, what's the lifespan Amazon Live stream? And what I've been told is that they stick around for a few days live stream, but it's probably not going to just be like displayed where people can find it. So the potential for TikTok right now is, in my opinion, much better than Amazon Live, just because of the lifespan of it. And I would love to tell you about a situation that happened over the weekend with with a TikTok video I made.
Go for it. Love to hear it. Gracie, can you hear me? Because you're...
Okay. So
Cool.
I don't know how many people watching know about these TikTok leggings, but basically they are a huge viral product on. Okay, can you hear me now? It's kind of cutting in and out a little bit.
Yeah, you've got a lag there. By the time I ask the question, you're already speaking, so there's a little bit of a lag with the internet for some reason. But go for it. I'll just be quiet until you finish telling the story. So about the leggings.
Yeah. So over the weekend, I found a deal for these leggings that have been going viral on TikTok, and supposedly they're supposed to make your butt look good, and everybody's been buying them and posting videos about them. So they're a very well-known viral product on TikTok. So I found a coupon code for this pair of leggings, and I wasn't working with the seller or had any contact with them, but I posted this video. It ended up going viral, getting over 750,000 views and still growing right now. And when I was looking back a couple of days later at the data from the sales, I saw that I had driven over $75,000 in revenue to that seller. Wow. So so there's so much potential there. Like, I'm saying $75,000 in the span of like 1 or 2 days. I don't know, like that's pretty life-changing money.
That's amazing
for a lot of people.
That's amazing. That's actually that's a lot of money for 2 days. Imagine what you're going to be like in a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. And it's still growing. It's still going. Luckily, I believe the coupon code is still active as of right now, but I just want to highlight that is why it's so important and almost necessary to work directly with sellers so that they are ready and prepared for the amount of volume and potential sales that could come their way. Because a lot of times I have posted deals that I just find online and sell out super quick, and that is so many people who are willing and wanting to buy their product that is now not going to buy them because of something going on in the back end of the sellers, on the seller's end.
So your internet was playing up there, but I read between the lines. I just want to explain what you just said. What you said is the reason it's so important for an influencer and the seller to actually, have that working relationship is because you could suddenly, someone at your level who's got 500,000 followers on TikTok, you could suddenly be sending so much traffic their way that they could sell out in that day, or you could basically kill their inventory, which is a good problem to have. But I think that's actually something that is very, very important for a seller to be prepared for first. And the thing that's unique. The thing that's unique about you and your specific, the way that you work on TikTok is that the people that follow you on TikTok are people that want to buy, because you specifically talk about deals compared to other TikTokers who, they may once in a while promote a product, but you specifically, the people who follow you, they want deals, so I think that's something for the people listening to us, it's important to think about as well when we're looking for influencers. Is you gave okay, we lost Gracie, so I'm just going to continue saying what I was going to say. She gave a great tip there, and the tip was that you can go on to TikTok and you can go on to Instagram and actually look for the hashtags, which were, I think she said, Amazon deals, Amazon coupons. I can't remember the other one. But I think that that's a great tip that we took from her. Gracie was having a bit of internet issues, but she's come back now. I was in a room with her and about 4 or 5 other influencers, big influencers and small influencers. So I did get a lot of information from that room. Gracie, I was just wrapping up what you said and also explaining that I've had a lot of information from different influencers. And I think that's something that's extremely unique about working with an influencer like yourself, is the fact that the people, it's like the buyer avatar, they do want to buy. It's not as hot as Amazon buyers, but the people that are following you, they're looking for deals. They want deals. And that's why you've become so successful, so quickly. With a brand, Panette has asked a question. I'll see whether you can answer it. With a brand owner starting out on Amazon that doesn't have much reach on social media yet, would you use an
TikTok?
influencer to help?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll finish the question, and then you can go on. With a brand owner starting out on Amazon that doesn't have much reach on social media yet, would you use an influencer to help build that first before doing Amazon Live? I don't think there's a conflict between the two, but I think that on an Amazon Live level, if you don't have many reviews and things like that, it may impact the buying decision. What do you think about that, Gracie?
So I would say you don't have, like, as a brand, if you don't have the following yourself, I would absolutely go to an influencer to get to their following. And that doesn't necessarily mean that an influencer is building your following as a brand, but basically you as a brand can work with an influencer to then reach their audience that they already have as an influencer. So they should already have that following built up if they are kind of in the influencer world, and they should, like, if they are already doing Amazon Live, then they should have a following there as well. So like there shouldn't be the building going on. It should already be there and ready and available for you to access once you work with them.
Cool. I think that we're over an hour now, Gracie. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. We had a little bit of internet problems, but I think the content was great. There were a few other questions, but I think I'll just bring you back on the show another time, speak about things a little bit more in depth, and maybe get more into the ROI type side of things. If anyone watching us, any brand listeners, any brands that are listening right now want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach you?
So I would say the best way to reach me would be through my email, which is graceymariebusiness@gmail.com. It's GRACEYMARIE business@gmail.com.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you very, very much, Gracie. And if anyone wants to reach me, you can find me on Sharon Evan and all social media. And on Monday, we're going to have back Isabella. And Monday is also the Women's International Day, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, happy Women's International Day to you in advance, Gracie. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm looking forward to not only working with you, but bringing on
Women's Month to you.
I'm looking forward to bringing you on again and getting more in depth into it. So thank you so much.